Hi everyone, welcome. My name's Darren and I am your everyday financial advisor. I decided to start this channel because I realize there's a lot of people out there who are looking for good financial planning advice and either don't know where to go or just aren't getting the advice they're looking for. So hopefully you came out to this channel to find some great ideas and you'll be able to walk away with some answers to some of your questions. Let's talk a little bit about me. My background, I've been in the financial services industry for over 30 years. I started out as a full-service financial advisor, basically doing financial plans for people, helping them with their investment planning, life insurance, risk products, that sort of thing. And I did that for about 13 years and built up a pretty good business. But there was a point in time where I wanted to expand my practice more into the area of estate planning. And unfortunately, the company I was with just didn't have the right product line to work in that area. So I went elsewhere and ended up getting hired by one of the major investment firms in North America. My position there was what they call an estate planning specialist. And what I did was I worked with investment advisors and their clients providing estate planning solutions. So things like tax minimization strategy, maximizing the value of the estates, some alternative investment strategies, and things like philanthropic investing. That particular company eventually sold their Canadian operation to one of our big banks here, and so I continued on with their investment arm in that same role. And after about 14 years, an opportunity came up to join one of the other big bank investment firms, and so I made my move over there. It didn't quite live up to expectations, and after about 4 years, I decided it was time to get back into the role of a full-service advisor, and that's where I am today. So the goal of my channel is to help you navigate your way through some of the complexities of financial planning with some easy to understand ideas and concepts. What the channel won't be is your latest flavor of the month tax planning scheme or, the next hot stock. So if that's what you're looking for, you might be a little bit disappointed. Now, today's episode is going to be about one of the basic but most important first steps in financial planning, and that's finding a good financial advisor. Now, this is where things might get a little bit controversial for me here because I'm going to be giving you my opinion based on my experience in this industry, and some advisors aren't going to be real happy with what I have to say. But I think it's important for you to understand what you should be looking for out there. So I've broken down investment advisors into 3 categories. The great advisors, which is what we really hope to find. The good advisors who, in my mind, they care about you. They want to do a good job for you, but they really haven't made that step towards being great yet. They don't tend to add a lot of value to the client relationship. They tend to focus on one discipline, whether it's investment advising or whatever. And the third category are those advisors you want to avoid. Now, I've kind of broken them down into a couple different subcategories. There's the dinosaurs. And these are those older advisors. They've been around forever. They've done things a certain way the whole time. They refuse to adapt. They refuse to grow. They refuse to become better educated. And the problem for you with them is that you're likely going to miss out on some great planning opportunities because either they just don't understand those opportunities or they don't care. And then there's what I like to call the morally corrupt. Now, these advisors are the ones you really want to avoid. They are going to do damage to you. They don't care about you. They care about making money. And they'll do whatever they have to do to make money. Unfortunately, what I found is there's a number of top advisors in some of the firms I worked for that I would actually classify in this category. So they're not necessarily small, and you have to be careful about them. My advice on these types of advisors are, if you're in your advisor's office and he's recommending something you don't feel very comfortable with, and he's not really giving you much information about it, he likely is that type of advisor you should be trying to avoid. So let's talk about great advisors. In my practice as an estate planning specialist, these are the majority of the advisors I worked with. And the reason I call them great is they were always looking for ways to improve the client relationship. They were always trying to add additional value to that relationship they had with their clients. That could be as simple as something like bringing in a specialist like myself to introduce a different idea, or bringing in other specialists like tax and trust specialists, will planning specialists, that sort of thing. These advisors were always the first ones to get a hold of clients in bad markets and, basically try to talk them through some of the discomfort they were feeling. They're the type of advisors that are happy to get information out to you and usually get it out on a really regular basis. And they typically are advisors that like to hold client appreciation events, whether they're educational events or just a social event. They like to make sure their clients realize that they're special to them. And that's the kind of advisor I've tried to model myself after, and that's who I want to try to be to my clients. Now, what I noticed about the vast majority of those great advisors is they were very well versed in financial planning in general. And basically, all of them had the financial planning designation we call a CFP. It stands for Certified Financial Planner, and it's available both here in Canada and in the United States. And it's really considered the top kind of financial planning designation you should have if you're going to be working with clients in the way we do. Now, the reason I think that the Certified Financial Planning designation is important is because it's not one of those designations you can earn over a weekend. Most people take a couple years to earn it, sometimes as many as 3 or 4. And you have to continually pick up what we call continuing education credits every year in order to be able to be allowed to use that designation on your business cards, on your letterhead, or just simply by calling yourself a financial planner here in Canada. Now, we have in our banking industry, our major banks in their branch network, a designation called a PFP. It's a personal financial planner. My opinion is it's not as good as the CFP. For one, it's not as difficult a course to take and pass. And secondly, it was a financial planning course designed by banks specifically around bank-based products. And in Canada, that's a bit of a problem because bankers aren't able to work with certain types of investment products through their bank network. It's actually against the Bank Act. So they don't know much about that side of planning, and that's a big part of what we call estate planning. So I think it's in your best interest to really kind of sway away from that type of advisor and look towards someone who has that CFP designation. The next thing I'd look for is an advisor with a larger firm. Now, that's not to say there's not good independent advisors out there. There are plenty of them. I know plenty of them. The problem for an independent advisor is they don't necessarily have the same kind of resources available to them that a big firm advisor would have. And those resources are those specialties, right? The estate planners, the will planners, the tax planners, the trust planners. Those types of individuals that an advisor can bring in or bring to the table to talk to you about your overall planning. And it's kind of essential in today's marketplace. Things aren't getting more simple these days. As most of you probably realize, the tax act, it just gets bigger. Doing your taxes by yourself gets harder. There's so many things that change in the financial planning industry that you really want someone that's up to date on those changes. And that's the advantage you'll get with a certified financial planner. So here's what I sometimes hear, and here's what you're going to hear from certain advisors that don't have their CFP. Some of them will say it's not necessary. I'm an investment advisor. That's my specialty. That's what I work on. Some of them will say something to the effect that, well, I have so much experience. I've seen everything. There's nothing that I haven't seen that I can't help you with. The reality is there's lots of professions where people have seen everything. That might not necessarily mean that you want to deal with them about something that's really, really important. What I've seen over the last 30 years is that for the most part, most people consider their investment advisor their lead planner. That's the person they tend to go to most often. And what I kind of look at when I'm looking at an investment advisor as a financial planner is I kind of compare them to your doctor, your general practitioner. You want them to know about your overall financial health. You want them to be able to look into all areas and make sure that you're taken care of. But there's going to be moments in time where your situation is going to be a little bit more complex, more difficult than you normally used to dealing with. And that's when they bring in specialists, just like your doctor would bring in a specialist if you had a health condition that was of concern to him or her. So you want a planner that can recognize those problems early and get a specialist in to help take care of them early so that there's not a lingering problem within your overall planning. That's why my big suggestion is look towards those advisors with a CFP. You're going to get much better valued advice from them, and you're more than likely going to get more value added in terms of your overall client experience. The final thing I think we'll talk about today is just about fees. I'm not a big believer in fee shopping. That being said, you get what you pay for often, and sometimes a firm holding out themselves as the lowest fee or a planner with the lowest fees also likely means you're going to get the lowest amount of service from that advisor. That doesn't mean you don't be careful about fees. Look into them, make sure they seem reasonable, and make sure you're getting value out of them. But that's the key component. Are you getting value out of that fee? Could you go take your business next door to another financial planner who is offering that same advice or offering that same product at a much higher level of service and advice? I really believe that in today's financial planning industry, we need to be always trying to bring value to the table in order to justify the fees we're getting paid. And so you want to make sure that you have a planner that is always there looking out for you, always there looking to give you better advice, always there looking for new ideas. And you know what? If you're paying a little bit more for that, then it's worth it, because in the long run, all that additional value added is going to result in substantial savings to you in other areas of your planning, which is going to make up any fee difference there might have been with a planner who wasn't offering that same kind of advice. So I hope you enjoyed our first episode. I promise you they're going to get better as time goes on, as I get better at presenting with them. But I hope you got some value out of this, and hopefully I'll see you again. If you like this channel, please subscribe, make a comment down below, like it, and most importantly, refer my channel on to your friends and family, and hopefully I can help them out too. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.